Hello, Kerry.
Hi.
Thank you for being here with me today for my very first Radical Authentic Fitness interview. And those of you who are watching, thank you for joining us. I invited Kerry Constantino here. She and I have been friends for a very long time. In fact, before she was even Kerry Constantino. So this is exciting. Welcome.
80s, maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The 1980s. So a little bit about that. Kerry and I partly grew up in and knew each other in this very unique town in Northwest Arkansas that was full of hillbillies, back to the land hippies, artisans who were escaping kind of the over intellectual North, really. And partly because of that, I think we both have really unique ideas about life, which is why Kerry's here today to talk about her authentic fitness journey. And also, Kerry has moved on to live a full life all over the United States. We even ended up in San Diego together for a period of time. I still live in San Diego. Kerry has moved on. And she also has gotten married, has a full life with pets, kids, entrepreneurship. She's a professional photographer, as well as everyday life of being a mom and working. So welcome. Did I miss anything really important?
Oh, I feel like you covered it for the most part. Thank you. I'm excited. Yeah.
Good. Thank you for being here. So really, I'd just like to start with, tell us what you believe fitness to be.
Ooh, so I feel like it is, for me, I am a very physical person and I always have been. I was the kind of kid that never stopped moving. I couldn't sit still, and I loved dance, and to me it was kind of a combination of like physical and emotional, and I just did a lot of physical stuff when I was a kid, running and sports and softball and track and anything I could try, I tried it, and some stuff I was terrible at. And then as an adult, I continued with dance for a long time. And then still did all sorts of other stuff. And I love trying new stuff. I've been trying pickleball lately and trying to get out there.
Yes, the pickleball.
Do I like it? So I guess the question is, remind me, fitness.
What do you believe?
What do I believe fitness to be? So for me, it's very much linked very closely to physical engagement and movement. And I get bored really easily, and I need more than just a physical routine that's the same thing every time. I think because of so much dance, I need there to be something more to it, whether it's learning something. With dance, there was so much about, it was like I was being given a physical language to say things that I couldn't necessarily say, and express things that there were no words for. And so when I do other kinds of physical activity, I always kind of crave that. I kind of long for that. And so fitness to me is very much physical. If I don't get enough exercise, I am grumpy. I get weird and unmotivated and depressed. And when I get enough physical exercise, it's almost like it just evens me out. And it makes me so that I can focus, and it makes it so that I have enough energy to get through my day. And I can feel it very much when I'm needing to move my body. And whether
It
it's
sounds
taking the
like
dog for a walk. Oh, go on, go on.
sounds like you naturally, because you were a mover, I relate to that so well. And we should tell people that we really connected in adult life as dancers. So we, we were kids in this little unique town, but we were both, I was the same way, couldn't sit still, always moving around, running everywhere. And then went into a passionate career with dance, which kept me physically active. So I absolutely relate to that. And also what I'm hearing is that you really discovered that link between movement and meaning. There has to be some kind of, for you, it's a natural draw, it's a natural drive to have emotion, to have impact, to have that link to another part of who you are through movement. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe your journey with different kinds of movement? We heard about your being in athletics in high school and then dance. And are there more things sprinkled in there? And then what do you have now that gives you that movement?
Yeah, so dance was really a through line for most of my life. And I love it. I'm passionate about it. And I explored it in a lot of different ways. But then I was also a runner. I was never a long distance runner, but I really enjoyed like a good 5K or an 8K. I thought it was a fun thing to do. I loved riding my bicycle, and it's funny. I always it's hard to explain unless you've lived in San Diego, but I didn't have a car for the first 3 years that I lived there, which is just sort of nuts because San Diego is very hilly and it has like intense traffic. I rode my bike everywhere. Like,
kudos to you.
Yeah. And then eventually I was like, it would just logistically, there were some things I needed to be able to get to quickly. Finally, I got a car, but I still rode my bike as much as I could. And then moving forward, I moved to the East Coast and still was super physical, just loving to try stuff and continuing with dance and teaching. And then I injured my knee.
I think what's important to note is that when you moved to the East Coast, you had at least one kid.
I had my daughter.
That changes things physically so much, doesn't it?
Oh my gosh. It is like, for a while, I didn't want to accept it that my body had changed as much as it had. And I had 2 babies in 2.5 years. And it's kind of like this up close look at how our bodies change. And sometimes it was just like, I don't want this. Like, I want to go and do all the stuff I used to do. And kind of being forced to just really slow down and take a look at what is more supportive. Like, what are the different exercises that I can go and do that are going to support me more? Because being a parent to 2 small children is also very physical. You're down on the floor and you're getting up and you're lifting a baby. Sometimes they're floppy and heavy, and there's no thought given to like good body mechanics or
right. Is that how you injured your knee?
No, I was teaching a dance class. I think I injured my knee in maybe the silliest way possible. I was skipping.
God.
I mean, this is after years of doing like beautiful grand jumps and leaps and complicated
turns, and
I was skipping
partners, and
I was skipping. And so it was just the classic knee injury. I landed wrong. I heard something pop in a way I had never heard before. And it took me a little bit of time to really understand what was going on. And then there was a little bit of time before the class was over, and eventually I said, I think I'm going to sit down over here. And it became really clear that it was pretty serious pretty quickly. And even that, for a while, I was like, oh, no, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'll be okay. This is just a little thing.
Right.
Like,
because you're like,
and
I have kids and a career and a house and.
Oh yeah, it was intense. I had a complicated knee injury, an ACL tear and a torn meniscus.
Oh,
So
man.
it was a long recovery, and the period of time prior to this, I had a surgery to reconstruct it, and the period of time between injuring it and the surgery, I was on crutches, and then for 6 weeks after the surgery, I was also on crutches. So
Wow.
it really changed things. Things you don't think about, like I need to pull a cast iron pan out of a cupboard and put it on the stove. Like, how do you do that on one leg? It really shifted just everything about how I knew my body to move. I had had minor injuries in the past, as a lot of athletes and dancers have, and I always recovered from them very quickly. And this was such a different thing. So it was like a rapid change into a different kind of relationship with movement. I worked with physical therapists for a long time. And then, you're kind of sent out on your own. They like deem you like healed.
Right. Good luck.
You're like, oh, I'm good. But what I realized really quickly was that it was something I was now committed to, and I probably will be forever. And that is keeping my legs and my whole physical body in shape so that it doesn't backslide, so that I don't injure myself again, and so that it feels good. Because there was a period of time at the beginning of the pandemic where everything, the gym shut down and I couldn't go and do my exercises there. And I was kind of like, what do I do? Like, can I do them at home? And I could, of course, but it took a little bit of shifting how I was going to structure my day, where I was going to put that kind of like time in. If I didn't have this designated place to go do it. So it's been a huge shift. And now I kind of split my time between, so I did purchase like an exercise bike, because at first I was scared to ride a bicycle out on the street. I was afraid. I was like, if something happens and I'm out there, or if something goes wrong with my knee again and I'm like miles away from home, what will I do? So I needed to continue like riding a bike, doing strengthening exercises, lots of
to keep your knee where it needed to be.
Absolutely. So yeah, I do exercise on my bike. I would say I try to get on it at least 3 to 4 times a week, even if it's just for a few minutes, just to keep my mobility in check. And then when I can do more, I do. And then I also pepper in a lot of other things. Am I on track? I'm like always like, am I answering the question?
You are. And I want to add to it, because you've brought up a lot of challenges that you've experienced just naturally, because you really enter into fitness in a physical way, which is like, it's all about your body, and you have that skill where you can talk yourself through mentally, like, okay, now I can't do this. That doesn't mean my physical life is over. And you've been able to really make that work. It's beautiful that it just seems like it's flowed so well. Is there any challenge that you have faced that you feel like you either needed outside resources besides the surgery kind of thing, but that it just seemed like you were really stuck, or you couldn't get through, or you felt like you maybe were just in a place that you weren't going to come out of?
I mean, I had to go to therapy for a while.
Yeah.
because when I injured myself, the vision I had for my future was gone.
When you
And
do therapy, you don't mean physical therapy.
no, like talk therapy with
Okay.
a counselor. And it was like I had to be given almost, I would say definitely permission, but almost kind of some structure on how to grieve something that is not the death of a person or the death
Yeah.
of a pet or something you love. It was like my future died and how I envisioned myself went away, and I didn't know how to go forward. And I definitely needed that. I needed someone to talk it through, being like, I thought I was going to do this and that. I mean, when I injured myself, I had performances that were booked. I
Yeah.
had classes I was supposed to teach.
Yeah.
I had teaching residency, like teaching artist residencies that we were trying to get grants for. And all of a sudden it was like, I can't do any of this. I don't know, maybe someday I'll be able to do this, but I don't know when. And so all of a sudden these things that I had looked forward to, I had to say no to, and I was so sad. And so that definitely is something I had to really sit down and go, you know what, I need someone to help me through this. And it really helped. It really did. Just being able to take time to understand that it felt a lot like death. It felt
Mhm.
a lot like things had shifted in a way that I did not foresee, and I
Mm.
wasn't ready for it necessarily.
Yeah.
But I had all the tools I needed to get through it, but I couldn't
Yeah.
see it on my own. I couldn't see that.
Yes. This is honestly, Kerry, this is why I asked to interview you, because it's really my contention that the fitness industry has to change. And the model of diet and exercise isn't working. We know it's not working because we can look at how our population is not thriving and we can see it's not working. And what you've just told us is the perfect example of how your radical, authentic fitness is not only tied to what you do with your body, because your body is your entry point to fitness. Like you told us that from the very beginning, like I am a mover, 100%. And you took the full journey through figuring out at all of those challenge points, using your mental capacity, using your mind to work those problem solving solutions, to find different ways to move forward with your fitness. And then with that biggest challenge, it sounds like to me, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you discovered how your purpose and your meaning and your connection to life was really tied in with living radical fitness authentically.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were going to say you have a fitness goal, what would you say that goal is?
So my fitness goal, and it's great because I feel like I get there a lot of days, but it's pain-free.
Nice.
Pain-free for as long as possible. I was in dance. I had a teacher early on, and she would always say, no pain, no pain. And I was like,
I love that.
yes, because it was so counter to what we're taught in dance.
Yeah.
It was there. I mean, there's a lot of narrative of like push through the pain,
Yep.
keep going even when it hurts.
Yep.
And to
Tape
me,
it
it's
up,
like,
put some hemorrhoid cream on that sore, it'll shrink down, build better
keep
calluses.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like it always felt wrong, even as a little kid, when like a coach or someone would tell someone just to walk it off. Um, Pain is a signal, it's communicating something to us.
Right.
And I think there's all different ways for people to understand and interpret their own pain. And for me, there's been a lot of like trying to understand sensation, like what is the pain threshold? What is my own? When
Yes.
is it turning into bad pain versus just a stretch or something that's very intense that I know I'll get through? And
That's
so,
my question. So how do you, and you're a teacher, so how would you either explain to us how you came to understand pushing pressure versus this is a pain that is saying stop? Like, how do you understand that?
I think it starts by really recognizing what feels good.
Mm.
It starts,
Amen.
go there first and let yourself live there as much as possible. Be okay with feeling good. Like exercise doesn't have to feel bad. You can sweat and be a mess, and you can be doing something really hard, but it can feel good. And I think it's that doesn't always get communicated. Like sometimes it might, and once you start to kind of establish that on one side of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
What feels really good, then you can start to go, well, where do we go from there? How do we expand this spectrum of what feels bad, what feels good on one side? And sometimes it can feel like a very slow process. Sometimes it's a surprise, like, oh, I did that. Nope, that was bad. Don't, no more, stop.
Right.
And giving yourself permission to stop in those moments and not go forward and not push through, and like truly find things that feel good on your body. And if it feels bad, like try backing off or just try stopping and be okay with that.
Yes.
That's something that it is just a practice. It's
Yeah.
just a practice of exploring what feels good to you and then being able to recognize if you've crossed the threshold into a feeling that is somewhere that you just shouldn't hang out, like.
Yeah. I think that's really important. And what I'm recognizing as you're saying it is that so much of fitness, when you look at how it's sold in the media, is sold as what you look like. And so it's really a huge leap to go from like, you're going to do this so you can look this way to do this because it feels good, right? And I think as dancers, for us, like it's easy to get to. And until we can pull fitness away from how it makes you look, I don't know that we're definitely never going to change anything. But your goal that you were saying of pain-free, I mean, imagine if that was the goal of fitness, how different the industry would look. If it was like, and not everyone's goal is going to be the same, but when we're talking about a goal that you can have over the journey of really a lifetime is what I consider, then you'll be able to build something that's sustainable and isn't just a one-shot 6-week, weight loss journey. So let me see here. What other question do I want to ask you? Is there anything you feel like is really important that if you were going to give advice to, your kids. I have a daughter and a son also, and it's remarkable, I think, how different their journeys are in bodies. Granted, my daughter's 17, my son's 14, but the perspectives are intensely different. Would you give your children different advice, or would you have one thing you would want them both to know equally?
Oh gosh. So something I think about a lot, especially in relationship to like my kids being active kids, because kids just are like, they're climbing trees and swinging from things, and they're just super physical people. A message that was, I think, reinforced a lot when I was a kid, and I don't know if this is generational, but it was that you had to pick one thing and master it.
Yeah.
And that was your thing. And you weren't really encouraged to do other things. And I believe you should try everything and be okay with not being good at it. You might be terrible at something, but it might be the most fun you've ever had. And go out, try everything, even if it's weird. Look for the like activities that are obscure.
Yes.
Find your people those might be, like finding, you may not fit into the box of doing like the one sport that people think you should do, or the one activity that is kind of presented to you. But if you're willing to just try stuff and be bad at it at first, you're going to have way more fun. Just let go of having to be a master of things. I feel like there's so much pressure put on kids, especially, to be like really great, award-winning, winning
anything.
trophies. And I'm like, just that you have nothing but time as a young person. So go try stuff and find the stuff that works, and don't get too messed up about the stuff that doesn't. And just go and do stuff and go outside and like just really let yourself explore. That's the biggest thing, is like you might surprise yourself with things that you really love, and it might be,
I love that,
totally out of left field.
That's great. So that makes me want to ask you, what is something you have tried that you're terrible at?
Pickleball. It's like getting it's getting so much press, and there's like influencers doing pickleball.
Oh my goodness.
There's a like newspaper report, and it's on the like radio, like pickleball is this thing. And I was like, I'm gonna do it. I mean,
and you're terrible at it.
Yeah, I mean, I hit it. It's just,
I'm
like,
good.
I don't understand the rules. I don't understand how you win. I don't understand how you score points. But it's like, it was just like, okay, we're gonna give it a try. And I'm probably gonna do it again.
Yeah, that's great, because you're taking the advice you're giving. I think a lot of times people don't do that, right?
Yeah.
They give all this advice and then they don't do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep going back and giving it another shot. I think it'll get better. And if not, it's pretty fun just to go and like attempt to get it over the net, Yeah. So, most recently, playing pickleball very badly has been one of my favorite things to go do.
All right, now for a little rapid fire. Are you ready for this?
I think so, yeah.
What do you want to be able to do when you're 90?
Ooh. I think I still want to be able to take walks through the woods, not necessarily super intense hikes, but I think I can see myself being someone who is never going to want to let go of being able to walk out in nature.
Awesome. I love that. What action or actions do you plan on taking to meet that goal that are purely mental?
Ooh. I think something that I feel like I'll always be open to is learning new stuff about the body. I love learning about how our bodies work, kinesiology, and I kind of continuously try to educate myself because there's always science being developed,
Yeah.
research that's being published, things you can learn, understandings of things like pain, understandings of how the muscles in the body work. So I think just keeping myself open to learning new things about how my body works is going to be a good place to start.
And same question, what actions do you plan to take to meet that goal that are purely for your soul, for who you are in the world?
So it's really important to me to give myself quiet time and allow myself no interruptions. And sometimes that's outside, sometimes that's out on a trail, or sometimes it's just being by myself and like having quiet time to think and rest. That's super important.
Beautiful.
It's kind of where I contain, like where I can sift through my thoughts and really have a moment to process everything that I'm feeling and going through.
I love that. And then if you were to name the person who's the final authority on your fitness, who would that person be?
Oh, it's me. 100%. Like,
Yay!
I think that's an important thing. I think everyone should feel that way. You can learn from a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that claim to be experts, but like at the end of the day, I'm the one that's going to be reporting back to me. Like, I'm the only one that feels the way I feel. I'm the only one living inside this body. So, yeah, I'm definitely the authority for sure.
Awesome. I think that's a great note to end on. I really appreciate you sharing so deeply, so honestly, your story, it's really, really impactful for people to be able to learn from what other people do versus an expert telling them what they should do, where they should go. And I think that that's true in all of life, but I particularly believe that it's true in fitness. So thanks for having this conversation with me. I really, really, really want to change the way that people view fitness, and I appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much, Maggie. I appreciate you.